and the Deputy Liberal leader, Ted O'Brien, joins me now. Ted O'Brien, good morning.
Good morning to you, Sally.
Is the Liberal Party now able to is the Liberal Party now completely free to move back to the centre? Susan Lee calls it the sensible centre, where Australian elections are won.
Sally, can I probably just say from the outset that it really is with regret that the National Party walked away from the coalition yesterday. That doesn't give me any happiness at all. I remain a coalitionist, as does Susan Lee. And I think Australia is best served when the Liberal Party and the National Party work together. That's always been my view. It is Susan Lee's view. And I am hopeful that over time, the National Party will come to the same conclusion and ultimately rejoin the coalition.
Do you hope that you're able to meet the Nats on their demands once you've done your policy review and be able to reform the coalition?
Again, I'm optimistic that the two parties can come together because it is in the best interest of Australia that the Liberal Party and the National Party work as a united force. Sally, where there was differences in the views between the Liberal Party and National Party, it actually wasn't on policy. It was on process to formulate policy, and it was on shadow cabinet solidarity. None of the policy positions that David Littleproud put to Susan Lee were rejected. None of them were. Instead, as Susan had made it clear to the Australian people last week, that we heard a big message from the Australian people on the 3rd of May. We now need to listen to them. We need to respect, reflect and represent modern Australia. And we need to go through a process. And that process includes having every MP and every senator in the Liberal Party who were elected by their constituents to be heard, to have a say. And the policies that the National Party have very deep interests in, and I respect that, but they will go through that process. That was the big issue that came to a head. To do anything other than that would be for Susan Lee to make a captain's call. And she made it very clear that she won't be doing that. That's not the style of her leadership. There's a process we'll go through. And you know, the National Party and the Liberal Party have had a wonderful history of being able to resolve differences. I see no reason why those differences, again, the extent to which they were to arise, couldn't be settled in the usual way, but the National Party did make the decision. The second point of difference over and above process of formulating policy was that the National Party could not give a guarantee that shadow cabinet solidarity would be honoured. As you can imagine, this is a big deal. I've sat in the shadow cabinet room and you have fierce debate. And it's not a debate always, by the way, between the National Party and the Liberal Party. But that's what a good cabinet process is all about. But once things are thrashed out and resolved, you leave that room as a united shadow cabinet. And so that was another sticking point where the National Party could not give a guarantee that solidarity would be honoured. I think Susan has demonstrated real strength of leadership. She's reaffirmed her commitment to listen, to learn and to engage as we rebuild the Liberal Party throughout the course of this term of government.
Can the Liberal Party guarantee that it will work in a constructive way with the National Party, even despite this split at the moment?
100%. Yes, absolutely. You know, you've got to remember too, I think, Sally, the Liberal Party and the National Party have a long history. At a very personal level, we're mates. We get on very well. Here I am talking to you from Queensland. I'm part of the Liberal National Party in Queensland. And so we'll have to redouble our efforts to get it done because there will not be a formal structure of a coalition. But we have every intention to be working as closely with the National Party as they will allow us to work with them.
So you were talking about being mates. Can you just clarify for me, on Channel 9's Today program this morning, the presenter Karl Stefanovic said that you've refused to be interviewed on their program this morning because you didn't want to appear alongside. Let's just have a quick listen and then I'll get your response.
Yeah, sure, of course.
We asked Deputy Liberal leader Ted O'Brien on the show last night and he agreed. This morning, out of courtesy, we told him Matt Canavan was coming on too. All seemed okay. And then 20 minutes ago, his team rang saying he won't come on with Canavan. I mean, you can't make it up. It's like MAFS, the Canberra edition. What's
happened? Why won't you appear alongside your colleague?
Yeah, so, Sally, I think this can be very easily resolved. And that is, I think Karl should just get us back on. I was told this morning that the session won't proceed. I think they were looking at me being on, and then it was Anastasia Palaszczuk, then it was Matt Canavan. I'd certainly queried saying, gee, should it be Kevin Hogan, given he's the deputy leader? And then we're told it's Anastasia Palaszczuk and me, and then we're told actually the session's over. So, but I think it's easily resolved. I've always turned up to any interview.
Let's just clarify here, though, that Channel 9's saying clearly that you didn't want to appear because of Matt Canavan's appearance. Is that correct or not?
No. So as my team, I'm sure, would have made it clear to them that Kevin Hogan, as the deputy leader of the National Party, would be the appropriate person with whom I can engage. So
you didn't think it was appropriate to engage with Matt Canavan?
On this issue of the split, I would have thought the more appropriate person would be Kevin Hogan as the deputy, but there was no cancellation, and I can't think of any sort of interview I've ever cancelled. But again, Sally, very easily resolved. If they would like to get me on tomorrow, great. Let's do that. So there's no problem on my end on that.
So you didn't refuse to appear alongside Matt Canavan?
No. So when it comes to being mates, for example, Sally, and this very issue, right? I mean, whether it be, you talk about Matt Canavan, Matt and I spoke a few days ago, right? We're mates. We're both from Queensland. We've always been friends. And notwithstanding the split in the coalition, I've got no reason to think we won't be. And so this is the thing, right? We're at a difficult point. The National Party has made a big decision. I'm sorry they did. My preference would be we're in a coalition. We will continue, though, to work with them. Our door will be open. We will collaborate.
Ted O'Brien, let's look at just briefly at some of the specifics here. What does this potentially change about this parliamentary term? Do you think there's a better chance now that you'll be able to negotiate with Labor on some issues to get legislation passed so that the government doesn't work with the Greens instead?
Well, our broader approach, putting the coalition issues to the side, won't change, and that is that we'll be looking at policies and legislation put up by the Albanese government on their merits. Our number one priority of criteria will be to do what is in the interest of the Australian people. That is the number one criteria. That will continue to be the case for the Liberal Party moving forward as the opposition, regardless of our relationship with the National Party.
Just very briefly, who will conduct the review of the Liberal Party's performance in the election and your policies? Who will be doing that?
Those decisions have not yet been made. There is a process in place for that. There's a federal executive which will make the ultimate decisions on that.
Will you be Shadow Treasurer?
Again, the final decisions on the Shadow Cabinet haven't been worked through, and Susan will be making those announcements in due course. But I have to say, Sally, again, notwithstanding my disappointment the National Party has left, the depth of talent in the Liberal Party ranks is quite extraordinary. And I can assure the Australian people that will be a very effective opposition to the Albanese government with a Liberal shadow cabinet.
We'll need to leave it there. Ted O'Brien, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks very much, Sally, and yours. Cheers.
It's Ted O'Brien there, the Deputy Liberal Leader. Mel Clark, our